Welcome back to the EShow podcast and a very special edition. It's our annual award show. Jeff, Jake, it feels like the season just got started.
Yeah, and it's almost April, boys. Almost April. Schneider Arena. We're coming for you soon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Regional finals first.
True.
Then Frozen finals. A little new twist this season.
Thanks, Coach. Look at you, Coach Ravin.
we're excited We're excited about the regional finals first, right?
True.
I mean, I think we all know one coach who's an alum from one of the schools where we're hosting these games is very excited, but he has to get there first, of course.
Got to be some good teams to get there, yeah.
Oh, for sure. But as I mentioned, this is our annual awards show. With the first round of the EHL and EHLP playoffs set to start tomorrow. So without further ado, guys, let's just jump right in because there were so many players this year that had some standout performances, and we need to recognize those players right now. We're going to start off in the EHLP, and as we do every year, we recognize our top prospects, forward, defenseman, and goaltender. Jeff, we have talked for years about how much I love symmetry, so we're going to start with some symmetry right here. When it comes to the top forward prospect of the EHLP this season, it was Cam Plum from the New England Wolves.
And what was his finishing line, you asked, Neil Ravin? 42 goals, 42 assists, 84 points. So over a goal and assist per game, leading the league in goals, 11 of the goals coming by way of the power play. So just an absolute special teams menace. And 5 of them were game winners. So not only was he good special teams wise, but he was really clutch too. Took him to his 5th game to score his first goal too, guys. How crazy is that? It took him a minute and then he was just like, hey, I'll catch up and score 42, but then followed that up with goals in 9 straight after that. Finished the season similarly, but actually even better. 11-game point streak with at least a goal in all of them. 15 goals, 13 assists in those 11 games. I'd say Cam, very deserving of that top prospects award.
For sure. 26.
That crazy top line with Spikuza and Etienne Waugh, that could be the X factor for that team going into the playoffs for sure.
26.
And all part of the EHL team next year too. Already announced.
Yes, they already announced that all 3 coming back as alliance. Maybe they will keep them together.
Yep.
We're not going to go too far away from Laconia. We're going to stay right there for the top prospect defenseman. That was Jackson Hansen.
Yeah, he's a second-year guy for them, and he had a big-time jump in production from year 1 to year 2. 16 points last year to over doubling that to 41. He had 34 assists, so if he only had assists this year, he also would have doubled his production. He was a power play machine just like Cam Plum. 18 assists on the power play, which is second only to his teammate and captain, Zach Spikuza. He was a star of the week in January. He was the October defenseman of the month, which was obviously, remember, the month the Wolves just kind of took over the EHLP. He had 13 points, and last year he put up 5 assists in 7 playoff games, which is pretty good. So I think the expectations are even higher for him this season, with the expectations for the Wolves being even higher this season. So, we're going to keep an eye on those 2 in the playoffs.
For sure. And that was our regular season champion, the New England Wolves. Of course, there was another team that had nearly as almost perfect of a season, who in many other years you could say would have won the EHLP regular season championship, in large part due to their goaltending. So for the top prospect goaltender, we gave this player a great nickname on the podcast. So it's Patrick McGillicuddy, but we went with McGillicuddy too, from the New Jersey 87s.
And when you have that good of a nickname, I mean, your work speaks for itself, doesn't it, boys? An 06, right? Rocked a 932 save percentage, a 1.46 goals against, which was top 3 in the league. A league leading 6 shutouts, which has put him 3rd all time. McGillicuddy was also nearly perfect record, 18-1, just 1 loss. Very reminiscent of, who was it, Thomas McLarnon years ago, Neil? Played for Assumption. I think he was perfect, like 14-0 backup-wise. Second most wins in EHLP this season, on the second best regular season team in the league this year. Star of the week earlier in the year was October goalie of the month, a month like most where he went undefeated and had 2 shutouts. So big October fan there for Patrick McGillicuddy. Finished the season on a 6-game winning streak too. So allowing just 8 goals in those 6 games as the 87s get ready for maybe another trip to Providence. We'll see.
I'm glad you mentioned the McLaren reference there because being the '06 and Frankie Smith being the '04, I don't know who is the backup.
Right?
It's
That's
one
I
A, it's 1A, 1B. I mean, we'll get the chance to see if they go with one guy in the playoffs if they split them, but being the '06, being the younger one, maybe they give the '04 the first chance. If that's the case, then like Jeff, you just said it. I mean, to be 18-1-0 and be the quote unquote
Yep.
backup, I mean, you are just
Air quotes.
that speaks to how great of a prospect he is being an '06 netminder. So I'll say this, right? If that's where you started your team with Plum, Hanson, and McGillicuddy, I mean, that's a great start.
Scoring a lot, and you're not giving up a lot, that's for sure, right?
For sure, for sure. Now that takes us to the forward of the year, and I know I just introduced the three guys prior, but it would be wrong of me to not give up the floor to Jake right here. Do you agree, Jeff?
Yes. We talked at our little pre-award show meeting yesterday, breaking down who's gonna do what. I mean, do we have to really direct
I
this
I
one?
think we just have to both like mute ourselves here, Jeff, and
Yeah.
like this is
Maybe
this
shut our
is
cameras off, see you later.
this is like all Jake. Like we should step back and leave the room, and this Jake, it's yours.
It's
Give
funny
Jackson,
because
take us away. See you next week. All right, boys.
everybody knows right now what's your EHLP forward of the year. Everyone's favorite EHLP captain from the New England Wolves, Zach Spakuza, league leader in assists, power play assists, third in the league in points, one of three players in the league that this year produced at a 2 point per game pace alongside his line mate Cam Plum and Adirondacks Cole Davidson. He nearly doubled his production from last season where he had 42 points, so he's definitely earned that jump to the next level that we've talked about earlier with him and his line mates. But it's interesting, getting more goals last year than this year, so getting hooked up with Etienne Waugh and Cam Plum now, he shifted more into a playmaking role, so he really can start the engine for his team even more than he did last year. He was a star of the week, October, the month of the Wolves, pretty much. He had 10 goals, 17 assists when he was forward of the month back then. And he ended the season with points in 10 of his last 11, 24 points in those 10 games. He was so good in the postseason last year as the Wolves made a run to Providence. And I think he's going to be captain clutch in this year's postseason run for the Wolves.
All right, we can come back on the podcast now. Jeff, we're good. I almost had a gripe, Jake, with Zach down in Philly because he got that first assist. So he set the record, right? But it's like, all right, can you create a little breathing room for us, right? And then he comes out and has a 5 assist game. So all right, we're good. We're good. We can all move on. We can come back from Philly now.
Yeah, I hope he holds that award forever.
Yes, and I promise you the Wolves 87 show is ending soon, but not yet. As we get to our defenseman of the year, it's hard to look anywhere else, guys. The number one point scoring defenseman in the EHLP this season, Alec Osher, again from the New Jersey 87s.
That number one point scoring defenseman, only defenseman to hit the 20 goal mark. Maybe making Bobby Orr blush a little bit. Second only to Hanson in assists, but the highest overall scoring defenseman by 12 points. That's pretty darn good. I also had him as a fantasy defenseman 1 month, and he did a very good job for me. Thank you, Alec. That might have been the month that I came oh so close and lost to Dan K. Right, Jake? You remember that? Yeah, I remember that too. I'm still losing sleep over that one. Anyways, Alec did his job. The rest of my team, I guess, did not. So back to Mr. Alec Osher, 10 power play points and even 5 goals, 5 assists. Not just a star of the week, but a 2-time player of the month, both January and February / March, having just a dominant new year, including the 10-game point streak, 10 goals, 18 assists in 17 games in the new year. Guy likes 2025 a lot. Had 2 goals, 3 assists in 7 postseason games last year, so proven playoff guy for them, right? And it's going to need to be again. So Alec Osher, defenseman of the year, another easy one.
Love it, love it. And I said the 87s Wolves show will eventually end. I mean, it's a great start to the podcast and the annual awards show, but now we get to the goaltender, and you mentioned fantasy, Jeff. So I just picked this guy that last month. He did big things for me, but he did big things for the Express. all season long. The goalie of the year, Ben Ashton.
Yeah, I think he really deserves this one. He's a second-year guy in this league. Didn't have a tremendous role last year, but this season he is perhaps the most important player on that Express team. He doubled his game count from last year despite missing a hefty chunk of the season with an injury. He had the second best save percentage in the EHLP with a 944, which is crazy considering the workload that he faces, nearly 44 shots per 60 minutes of hockey, which is, that's a lot of rubber coming at you, and he stops most of them. His most recent wins were two of the biggest for the Express this whole season. He stopped 49 against the Providence Capitals in their first win of the season against them. That's who they'll have in the playoffs, so getting a win against them in the regular season off, great goaltending performance is huge. And then he exercised his demons against the Seahawks, got the better of him a couple times earlier in the season, stopped 33 of 35 in an overtime win. He's a two-time star of the week, and I mean, that team has some important players, but I don't know if anybody will be more important as, they take on a pretty heavy offensive Providence Capitals team in the first round of the EHLP playoffs. So congrats, Benner.
Yeah, you could say there's no bigger X factor going into that series. But speaking of X factors, there's probably no bigger X factor in the EHLP than our MVP this season. So for the second time, Adirondack is claiming this award. And again, we'll bring back the nicknames, guys. It's Cole Goal Davidson.
It's gonna go like Cole Davo, like a little McDavid in there. But I like that, Neil. Well done. And of course, biggest award goes to Cole or Goal Davidson. Third in the league in goals with 35 of them. Second in assists with 49. So, some could say Davidson most complete player in the EHLP. Second year in the EHL. I mean, you thought last year was good, right? 63 points in 42 games. He had 31 goals, 32 assists. And he stamped himself in the record book, boys. He's fourth all-time now in points with 148. He is third all-time now in goals with 67 of them. He is fourth all-time in EHLP record books with 81 assists. So, I mean, that just tells you right there. When your name goes in bold in that EHLP all-time record books, you've been doing some things very, very well. So good for Cole. Big reason they were able to jump the Warriors for third place in the division and avoid the play-in game. And now you got the Avalanche and coach at Bourdon, which congrats to him re-signing and I think adding an 18-year team. But we'll talk about the Avalanche later when we get to them. This is Cole Davidson's time,
Neil, if I'm not mistaken, he's up there with guys like Cam Wickett as far as who were picked the most in fantasy in the new year. He had 39 points in 19 games in 2025.
Yeah, I mean it's
video
just
game numbers.
It's almost silly what he did. And like I said, the second Adirondack player joining Jack Murkowski from a couple of years ago to win the MVP award. And remember, the year Jack won it, they got stunned by the Avalanche in the playoffs. They were the number one seed going in, two crazy games with New Hampshire. So this is a chance for Adirondack to get some revenge this season.
Feels like a year they should make a run, right, boys? I mean, we've been waiting. Could be it. We'll see.
Could be it. And speaking of teams that want to make a run, of course, we are the league where players come first, so that's why we lead with the player awards. But before we get to the all league and all division teams, we do have to recognize the coach of the year this year in the EHLP. And there were a number of different directions that we could have gone. But in terms of where this program has come, an absolute fan favorite, podcast favorite of ours, it's with great honor that we get to recognize Mike Rocket Richard from the Seahawks Hockey Club as this year's EHLP Coach of the Year.
Yeah, from fifth place in the division last year to first place in the division this year, they were battling for it all season long. They were 1 and 2 all throughout the regular season with Providence until the new year, where they were absolutely fantastic. Won 13 of their final 18 games of the season. In total, went 26, 14, and 2, and they solidified their position as an elite EHLP team for sure. They came into Philadelphia unsure whether they would hold on to that number one spot. Providence had more games. They had the more favorable schedule. And the Seahawks responded to that by shutting out the Adirondack Thunder in their very first game to pretty much lock it in after Providence had lost to them. So I think that, helped solidify this for Coach Richard. He was top 5 in both special teams. They were the second best defensive team in the entire EHLP. 9 returners suited up for that EHLP team this year. EHLP typically has less returners. That's an EHL number of returners. But those guys trust Coach Richard. And why wouldn't they? When those 9 returners combined for 25 EHL games, guy like Wedo Rivera played double digits. Austin Bonebright played like 6 or 7. So a great year for those guys, and all of those returners have seen their numbers go up from year 1 to year 2, so they are truly developing over on the Cape. And congrats to Coach Richard, and I know he really wants to get to Providence this year. Every time I mention it to him, he's like, yeah, it'd be fun, and I'm like, I see you, Coach Richard, I know you want it.
Modest. It'd be cool.
Have to mention a couple others who did just a tremendous job this season. Andrew Trimble, can't ignore what he did with that EHLP team, number 1 in the league. Sam Taffel, spearheading the number 1 year for the Union Junior Thunder this season. And Jackson Brather, with a solid New Jersey Bears team in their first year in the EHLP. So, tons of success all throughout the premiere.
Yeah, that wasn't really an easy, clear cutaway pick. There was a lot of good candidates there for Coach of the Year.
It feels that way every year, though, too, Jeff. And you sit back and you're like, can we name co-coaches or this or that? And it's not that there's guys that are undeserving, but you don't want to take away from the one, right? And that's where it's like, where that program has come to where they are now. And the one part that just stood out to me is all the games those guys got to play EHL also and move back and forth. And Jake mentioned it. I mean, maybe there was one game in particular, but going down to Philly and shutting out Adirondack and Cole Davidson,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that was a statement. That was
holding on to that first place spot was a challenge, and I mean they deserved it. It was awesome.
Succeeded.
For sure.
First of many challenges coming up for those boys. So that's a playoff mission to accomplish, and now on to the real season, the playoffs.
Yes, and as I love to say on every podcast, we've reached our first pivot. So let's start off with the all EHLP first team, and guys, we've already named these names, so we'll say it again here. It's all the guys that we just announced as the major award winners. In net, Ben Ashton. On defense, Jackson Hansen and Alec Osher. The forward line of Cam Plum, Zach Spakuza, and Cole Davidson. I mean, if you're starting a game with those 6, I like your chances.
Yeah, I'd forfeit. You're already on the other side of that. Yeah, you don't play that game.
So you'll take your helmet off, give the salute. Thanks so much.
My knee's been bugging me.
Right. It's been great sharing the ice with you guys for warm-ups. We'll see you later.
Then, all right, we'll keep going. We'll roll out line 2, right? The second unit, if you will. All EHLP second team, starting off in goal with Deegan Rathburn from the New Hampshire Avalanche. Back to the Wolves on defense, Robbie Murphy. To the Capitals, Nathan Alves. Seahawks forward, Carson Lowe. Captain for the Expressive forward, Cooper Grossguth. And then finishing off with Charles Etienne Waugh from the Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, Waugh might be a little lonely without his line mates, but I mean, Carson Lowe and Cooper Grossguth, both leaders for their teams. I think he's still in pretty good company.
Lowe, one of those great returners you talked about too, Jake. 80 points in 81 games as a Premier Seahawk. He has done very well down the Cape.
Now, if this is your third unit, if you will, you're still doing pretty damn well, right? So for the all EHLP third team, we'll start off in net once again. Will Rose from the Seahawks. To the blue line from there, the D pair of Shane Bradley from the Nor'easter and Adam Whitehead from Adirondack. And then the forward line, Quinn Weimer from Adirondack, Jack Farrell from Providence, and Paul Magalhaes from the Valley Junior Warriors.
Yeah, it's a gold trio.
So those are the first, second, and third all EHLP teams. Now we'll go division by division. One all division team, for each group, and then a little surprise at the end. So bear with us, okay? So we'll start with the North Division. Once again, in goal, it feels kind of funny that we're finally naming this player with an award with just how many wins he racked up. But Christopher Richard from the Wolves, D. Onyx King from the Warriors, Braulio Sio from the Avalanche, and then this forward unit is stacked as well. Bradley Parker from Adirondack, Alan Urbis from the Wolves, and Josh Bain from Vermont.
I feel like Christopher Richard deserves like a fantasy award too. I mean, he wasn't he the one goal? Like, I know we had a lot of. I feel like the goalies were very, very active in fantasy, including Christopher Richard, and he was very confident, picked himself, and hey, 21-1, 287 goals against, 917 save percentage, 699 saves. We couldn't have gotten one more save, boys. Just get out of the way. Don't block one more puck. Let him get 700 for the even. But
what an addition Josh Bain has been for the Jacks down the stretch here, especially with them losing some guys to the EHL level. Josh Bain is going to be big in whatever postseason run they could put together here.
For sure, for sure. That sends us to the East Division with Jack Manini in goal from the Capitals. Stick with his team. Owen Ekdahl on defense. Derek Lewis from the Express. Wrapping up that D pair. Trey Guire from the Nor'easter up front. Tomas Kobella from the Bandits and Oren Friedman from the Seahawks.
Friedman, what a jump he had. He only had 3 points in 13 games last year, 3 goals, and now 51 points in 42 games. Got some EHL time this year too. And like we said, Seahawks developing guys down in the Cape, and Friedman one of them.
Yeah, it's a goal-scoring crew right there. Tomas Kobella, probably the best player on that Bandits Premier team, and Trey Guire. I mean, he just did not stop scoring goals, especially in the second half of the season. So that's a good crew of players right there. East Division got better and better.
For sure, for sure. Here comes my first test, guys. All South Division team. We start off with a pair of 87s in net. Frankie Smith. We already mentioned the goaltending duo that they have down there between him and Patrick McGillicuddy, but he was an absolute stud. The all-time leader in wins for goalies in the EHLP. On defense, Alexei Lisienko, also from the 87s, Tyler Wilson from the Bears, Matt Tavares from the Renegades, Owen Ozer from the Little Flyers, and Isaac Walker from Union.
Frankie Smith gave up 13 goals in 14 games this year. I mean, can we say anymore? 13 goals to give up in the season? Like, you'd scratch your head reading that. That's unbelievable.
Wild. Owen Ozier, who ALO calls the O Show, got to see him at the Philly Showcase. He can fly out there. Isaac Walker, a big part of this turnaround for the Union Junior Thunder, first season above 500, and yeah, it was a great regular season for them.
For sure, for sure. I mentioned a surprise. We set up the all league and all division teams different when you compare EHL to EHLP, but that's because EHLP is more, prospect centric, right? So in talking with Jake, we have come up with the all EHLP prospect team. So these are players that are 06, 07s, and we're even going to mention an 08, Jeff. I mean, this is going to make us feel older than we already do.
College in 08, you were born. That's where we're going to leave it.
So start off in goal. We mentioned this 06 already from the 87s. Patrick McGillicuddy on defense. Will Link from the Express. Tomas Kubina from Union. James Miliano from the Huntsman. Alex Ridley from Adirondack. And Dominic Mouchon. That was the 08 I just mentioned from the New Jersey Bears.
Yeah, actually, 2 08s. Mirigliano is an 08 as well. So 3 07s, 2 08s, and an 06 on that team. That is a good group of young hockey players that make Neil feel like like a 33-year age gap between you and those players now?
I was 17 years old when those guys were born, so I was already driving. So. Oh man, but we wanted to make sure that we had a chance to recognize even those players. Jake mentions the 08s. I mean, to be able to come in and step in and produce the way that they have at such a young age, that's what the EHLP is all about. Getting young players into that higher speed so that maybe there's another year of EHLP next year for these guys, or maybe it's straight to the EHL. And then ultimately, while the EHL has become a league where many age outs have committed over the years, right? Maybe getting the chance to play EHLP at such a young age could lead to an EHL season the next year and then an early commitment for some of these guys. So, would absolutely love the addition of the all EHLP prospect team. And that does it for the EHLP guys. We got all the main awards out. We got all the all league teams, all the division teams, the prospect team named. We are good to move on from the EHLP. What a season it was, though, and as I mentioned, it sets up for what should be a great postseason at that level, and hopefully some great action in Providence as well. So we're going to take a short break right now, and then come back with the EHL awards next.
For over a decade, Eastern Hockey League has thrived and succeeded in developing, promoting, and advancing our players to NCAA Division II and III programs. Having mastered the process with over 1,900 players taking their next respective steps by committing to NCAA programs, the EHL is ready to take its next step as we become the top Tier 2 junior hockey league on the East Coast. Our teams have set a standard throughout the seasons, and now it's time to raise them even higher. The EHL is where players come first.
And we'll jump right back into things with the EHL and sticking with the trend of Jake convincing me to add awards, right? So this was an award that he actually created himself last year. I remember when he texted to me, I was like, Jake has many great ideas, but I think it was one of the top ones he ever sent me last year. And he dubbed it the Pipeline Player of the Year. So these are guys that were looking to go EHLP to EHL and on to college hockey. So when you look around the EHL this season and you see all those players that have made that jump, honestly, I can't wait to face this player as part of the college series next year when he's at that college, right? Where he's committed to, and it's Peyton Myers from HC Rhode Island.
Yeah, and we love combine players as well. Peyton
True.
Myers was at the EHL combine 2 years ago. He lit it up there. Then he went to the Express of the EHLP and said, I'm going to be the second highest scorer in the league behind one of my teammates here. I'm going to lead the whole league in assists. I'm going to win Star of the Month twice, not just once. I'm going to put up 31 goals and 47 assists. And then I'm going to go to the EHL and be one of my team's best, most complete players. I'll put up 26 points. And he missed some time due to injury this year as well, Peyton Myers. Still was able to earn that commitment. As you mentioned, Lebanon Valley College is the next destination for Peyton. But, you know, like Toby O'Brien likes to say, he did it the right way, came straight out of high school, played for his town growing up, 1 year P, 1 year E, and now he's moving on to college hockey. So, you know, we love to highlight the guys that were in the EHLP the year before they commit, and he is definitely a blueprint for that, a beacon for that. And you know, he joins Brendan Manning from last year and some pretty good company, and as our second Pipeline Player of the Year award winner.
Yeah, back-to-back studs, and I love the combine tie in there as well because it segues us perfectly into our Rookie of the Year, another combine player from this last year. I mean, he was probably the most sought-after player at the combine by the entire league. I think
He must have felt so cool.
oh, only person that wasn't texting him was you, Jake. I mean,
So,
but this year's Rookie of the Year earned it through and through. Phil Obey from the New Jersey Bears.
Yeah, I came out of Cushing Academy, a great prep school. Represented the Bears as a Mid-Atlantic All-Star. Finished the season 15 goals, 29 assists. Second on the Bears behind only Owen House. Another one of our fan favorites. If you still haven't seen Owen House's interview with Jake Basile at the college series, go watch it on Instagram. You can find it. You're going to have to do a little digging. But for Obey, 11 multi-point games, including 3 straight three-point games back in October. Had a 6-game point streak as well. Plays with big names in that team, like we just said. House, both the Bankovitz brothers through the season. So yeah, the Phil Obey, very good. So this is why you want to get to the combine, guys. So you can be the next Phil Obey and blossom in the EHL.
For proof, if you look at the combine graphic that's out everywhere, he's the one in the gold jersey with the purple helmet. That is Phil Obey, right? Next season, Rookie of the Year, and the future is very bright for him. We've kind of teased a little fantasy things from here and there throughout the podcast. We're not going to talk about
I knew
fantasy
you
at
were going to
all.
bring this up.
but I know how much this hurt Jake at times, but it did not hurt this player's chances from winning a main award. Jake, it was a tough month when you picked him, but he was beyond deserving to be named Defenseman of the Year, and that's Grant Burback from the New Hampshire Avalanche.
Yeah, he's a first-year player. He was one of their earliest commits this season on a team that just commits to players like it's their job, which it kind of is. So, good job, Chris. Committed to Arcadia University, Northeast All-Star. That's where we, as a league staff, really got to know him and know his game. And we're like, all right, this guy is more than legit. He was the second most points among the defensemen with 32 this season. He had the most goals amongst the defensemen with 11, and he finished the season strong with 6 points in his last 5 games. Grant Burback was a big-time fantasy pick just outside the month that I got him, but he was a power play weapon for them. An even symmetrical 5 goals, 5 assists. And I talked with Coach Heikert from Arcadia at the Philly Showcase, one of the many colleges that were there, and he expects him to jump into a big-time role right away, potentially help run their power play, which is something that he said they're looking for. And I can't think of anybody in this league better to do that than Grant Burback. And he came up in the big games as well. He had 3 goals against the Wolves, and then he assisted the overtime winner in the most recent game against the Wolves for the Avalanche. So as far as that gap between those two teams goes, Grant Burback's fingerprints are all over that. He does it at both ends of the ice, and he's a great dude as well. So congratulations to Grant. Well deserved.
For sure, for sure. We've had many jokes on this podcast about my age, Jeff's age, our wisdom over the years, right, Jeff? It is a little funny saying that I've been doing this for a decade, but I can also say that over the course of that decade, and this is going to sound bold, but I believe it all the way. I don't know if we've seen a more dynamic hockey player than who I'm about to name as our forward of the year. Just the speed alone is something else, but obviously his playmaking ability and his ability to score goals at will, really also. But he just sees the ice probably better than any player has before him from the forward position in this league. So look no further than Alexander Lakoff from the New Jersey 87s as this year's forward of the year.
I feel like I'm going to double down on that statement, Neil. I agree. And I mean, credit to Lakoff, credit to Adam Hooley, the 87s. As we mentioned on the podcast, this was a kid that was with the 87s in 22-23, produced well, 14 points in 18 games, 6 goals, 8 assists, had 3 assists in 3 playoff games, went to the NA, right? He developed, he went up, struggled a little bit, I guess you could say, 10 points in 30 games for the Johnstown Tomahawks, then comes back this year in his final EHL junior year and just blows the top right off, 2.55 points a game. Literally, he almost averaged a hat trick of points a game. That's unbelievable. 24 points higher than the next top scorer, led the league in assists by 18 for a total of 31 goals, 66 assists, finished the season on a 9-game heater, which is great going into the playoffs. You want to keep that going, and multi-point games in 8 of those for 9 goals, 21 assists, 31 points during the streak in 9 games. That's just literally unheard of. Does it in big games too, so that's another huge thing to look out for. Multi-point games against the Bears, where he had a goal and assist versus the Avs. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. And then the last game of the season against the very good East Coast Wizards team. So question going to the playoffs, who can slow him down?
Yeah.
Probably nobody.
Yep. Watched him race up the ice late against the Nor'easter at the showcase. And I actually thought to myself, Jeff, if I raced Lakoff and he had to do 2 laps around the ice and I had to do 1, would I win? I don't know if I would. So he was skating that fast. So
Yeah.
and I'm not a great skater, but I can skate a little bit, right? But he was moving
You
that
get to
quick.
stretch first. Do you get to stretch?
I would need to.
And you can't like fuel up with any sugar or anything because your dad's a dentist and he would hate that.
Oh my God.
Not non-sugar ad.
Quench. Get quenched.
So we've saved 2 more awards for players for the end here at the EHL level because this player is winning both. And I kind of used this phrase earlier. In many other seasons, you could say Alexander Lakoff would be the MVP, but not this season because of the year that this player has had between the pipes for the Express Hockey Club. Our most valuable player and our goalie of the year, Alex Koenig.
Terrific pick. Someone that Jake loves dearly as being the Express play-by-play man, dominant in goals all season long, led all goaltenders with wins with 22 of them, third lowest goals against at 1.56, second highest save percentage at 951. Talked about Goal Davidson's video game-like numbers. Alex Koenig is the goalie version of Goal Davidson. Jake can come up with the nickname in a little bit if you'd like for that. League leading 8 shutouts, which is second all time in a single season, and he's in the top 10 for his career. He's 6th all time, and guys like Pelkey, Jack Boschert. Anyone? Does that ring a bell? Boschert finished 4th all time in the EHL in shutouts with 11 of them. Nate Miller, Brendan Brawley, Samuel Caney. So those are some other guys that have had huge junior careers, but also great college careers, and now Koenig stamps himself right in with the rest of those guys. 4-time star of the week, December goaltender of the month, as he piles on from his all rookie team honors from last season. Playing sensational hockey too, going into the postseason for his team. Last 4 games, save percentage has not been below 960. 96% of his pucks have been stopped. That's just insane. So they're heading to the playoffs. Express players, coach, staff alike feel like they always have the advantage in net, and have had it all season because we've talked about Toff too. But just like the 87s another goaltending tandem, I would say Koenig's probably going to get the start game 1, but we'll leave that up to Coach Coda. Crowning moment of the season, though, perhaps the All-Star College Series when he defeated Elmira, allowing 1 goal in 60 minutes. So that's what he's going to see at the next level, and he's shown he can do it at the college level.
Yeah, I felt like that was almost the moment when he already had won both awards. But then I think rubber stamp Jake was the victory in that last showcase game. I mean, that was as intense of a showcase game as we've ever had with the Avalanche.
Super highly emotional, and it's just so cool as a league that the league title for the regular season comes down to the second to last game in the entire schedule. That's just so great. And Alex Koenig had that incredible, moving across the net stick shaft save, which prevented that game from going outside regulation. He's earned a commitment to UMass Boston because of the work that he's put in, and the numbers. Those numbers don't lie. He is every bit as good as those numbers say, and going to be an amazing postseason run if Alex Koenig is doing Alex Koenig things.
For sure.
Basile is going to love him as a UMass Boston Beacon.
Oh, for sure.
Great coach to get him.
Just like we did with the EHL or EHLP, we started off with all the player awards leading to the coach, probably to buy ourselves some time too, guys, because just like at the EHLP level, naming one coach is really hard to do. And this is an award that I think a lot of guys take some great pride in this league because it comes with the respect of your peers, right? And what this coach has done this season, it's just remarkable. We just mentioned his team. It's Nick Coda from the Express Hockey Club.
Yeah, it's his 3rd consecutive 30-win season. This was his best with a 36-3-4-3 record. He won the league with the 79 points that we talked about. Did it on the last day of the season. So a flair for the dramatic for Coach Coda as well. The special teams have improved every year under his tenure to the point where his power play is now number 1 in the league at 25%, and his penalty kill, which I have to shout out Coach Kyle Robertson because he runs that PK with Nick Coda, at 92.2% for the number 1 in history. It's the best PK of all time, and it belongs to Nick Coda and the Express. And their power play was not great his first year in the league, and it's just an example of one of the many numbers that have improved. He had to replace 120 points from his top 2 scorers last season. Picked up Ville Bowden, picked up Charles Day, Nate Brissett, Miles Kidd, all these names, these studs that have brought them back to that same level of production. And they're returner heavy. They have 12 returners on their playoff roster right now, 6 EHLP call-ups. Guys want to stick around here. Not a single player left that team this season. That says a lot in this era of junior hockey where guys are shifting around. Nobody left the Express this year, and that to me is the biggest testament to what Nick Coda does and how he fights for his players. And like you mentioned, this was not easy. Others guys did a great job. Chris Sorella, 37 wins, right, this season. What a great year for the Wolves. A nice turnaround from last year's, slightly above average year. They're a wagon this year. Jason Kilcoyne, another great year for the Bears. And Jeff Perot, bringing his team to the #1 spot in the Central Division after being a 500 team last year. They are now a 30+ win team in the EHL. But Nick Coda definitely deserves this one with 36 wins and all the accolades belong to him right now. So congratulations, Nick.
Yeah, I can already see the text I'm gonna get from a mutual friend of ours, myself and Nick, because we actually play in a golf tournament with said friend. It's a four-man scramble, and all four of us are lefties, so we call ourselves like Team Lefty. So he's gonna say shout out to Team Lefty for this one, and which it's all deserving too. And it's just funny when you look back on the years of the history of the Express. Start just with the EHL guys that have won Coach of the Year, from John Lounsbury to Cody Campbell. Not with the Express, but working with him now. Todd Sterling won Coach of the Year back when he was with the Bandits. Pre-EHL games or EHL days, Mark Kumpel. I mean, that building can produce some pretty stout coaches, and all deserving Nick Coda of being this year's Coach of the Year. So that transitions us to the all EHL teams. As I mentioned, we do it a little bit differently in the EHL compared to the EHLP, kind of because of division setup and the number of teams, you name it. We named a few of these guys so far with the main awards, but here's the all EHL first team. And again, if you're rolling out this top line, oh boy. We've mentioned a few of these guys already with the main awards. Alex Koenig in net, goalie of the year and MVP. Defenseman Grant Burback from the New Hampshire Avalanche, defenseman of the year, of course. Dalton Roberto from the Express Hockey Club. Alexander Lakoff up front from the New Jersey 87s. Daxton St. Hilaire from the Wizards. And Declan Kelly from the Providence Capitals. If that's your first line, guys, I mean, wow.
I love this league. I just look at those names and wow. I mean, that deep pair. If you're against that deep, if this forward group, I'm gonna make a hot take here. If this 3 forward group went against that deep pair, I'm taking the deep pair any day of the week. Give me Roberto and Burback. Yeah.
You don't feel like, I don't know, Lakoff, St. Hilaire, Kelly? I feel like a lot of those guys, they can just wiggle through all layers of defense and just get right to the net. I don't know.
I mean, it's just a stout group. I mean, it's so good. I mean, and a couple of guys that have returned as well. You look at Declan Kelly, you look at Daxton St. Hilaire, Alex Lakoff back. It's an awesome group. That sends us to our all EHL second team. In goal, Ryan Rhodes from Rhode Island, Merrick Herda from the Wolves, Tito Yabusik from the Little Flyers, Daniel Kroon from the Capitals, LC Tremblay from the Avalanche, and Ryan Arendes from the Huntsmen.
A lot more unbelievable players. Wow. I mean, Ryan Rhodes, another guy we talked about. Alex Koenig going to a great UMass Boston school. Rhodes going to a Curry College team. That look at what they're doing right now, and they're going to get even better having Ryan Rhodes. Man, yeah, that's a heck of a second team. Heard a guy that's been with the Wolves for a long time. That's another guy that's like an EHL commercial that sticks through. Loves Andrew Trimble and Tim Kuhns up there, and
yeah, I love this blend of players here because you have first year studs in Kroon and Tremblay, who, I mean, Kroon, just what a year he had, just putting up numbers alongside Declan Kelly, and he plays with Aiden Raddick. That's going to be an incredible line going into the playoffs. And you talk about big time commitments. Ryan Arendes, Stevenson University. It's a big dog commitment right there.
Cool.
Too.
We'll be facing them next year. Jeff, just so you know, too, we obviously we named Koenig goalie of the year and MVP, so that puts him on the first team, right? So Jake and I are having our phone call. We probably had 5 of them, to pick these awards. I mean, we talked a lot. We spent a lot of time on the phone. Our data plans are about to explode because of it. Right?
I was going to say, I mean, commissioner and director of communications, you two should be on the phone a lot,
Yeah. So when we got to second team, I said, okay, I have the goalie in mind. And he's like, me too. And I said, okay, 3, 2, 1, say the last name. And it was like just so in sync.
Yes.
Symmetrical.
Shout out Olivia, because she wasn't invited to participate in it, but she did anyway. She said Rhodes.
You're right. I didn't say for her to join in, but she also said Rhodes.
Yeah. Wow, you left the new director of hockey ops out?
It's just a little on brand right there.
For sure. For sure. That gets us to our all rookie team in the EHL. This is always a fun one for us to do, just because of the young talent that this league can produce. You start off with a pair of Capitals. In goal, Caden Clegg, and on defense, Rod Trushkin. Staying in the Central Division on defense, Ryan Sikorsky from the Connecticut Nor'easter. Up front, Phil Obey, this year's Rookie of the Year from the New Jersey Bears. Danny Storella from the New Hampshire Avalanche, and Jake Gelman from the Seahawks Hockey Club. This is a great young unit, guys.
Like we said, Providence. We mentioned Jeff Perot earlier when it came to Coach of the Year honors and having two goalies that each get 16 wins. Nick Hansen, a guy that stuck with Jeff Perot back from his Philly days. So, but yeah, Caden Clegg, unbelievable. 946 save percentage. Another team, who do you start game one? That's why we pay the coaches the big bucks to do it. And Trushkin, a guy that I feel like maybe goes unnoticed a good amount. But it's hard to not notice him because he is massive. He's 6'6", 200 pounds, 07. Like, are you kidding me? The kid's born in 2007. He is a 6'6", 200-pound man. But another key part of that team that's going to be, he's going to be leaned on in the playoffs. So, yeah, some great picks there.
Yeah, these names made that award pretty hard to pick. I mean, we kind of agonized a little bit over that one, but Phil Obey earning it is absolutely correct. But Caden Clegg, just what a year he had. I know Coach Perot is hoping to have him back next year. If that's the case, I think we're looking at an early potential goalie of the year candidate.
Give us those odds for a year from now, Jake.
Oh, I don't know, like maybe like plus 800 if he's back.
I like it.
Yeah, there's somebody else who's coming back that we're going to name on the East team.
Good point.
Yeah, he's going to be in the mix for that award too.
Those are
20 on that.
Great
25
candidates. Moving along now to the all division teams. We have 2 per division. So we'll start in the North first with the first team in net, Cam Wickens from the Lumberjacks. On defense, Ryan Dan from the Avalanche and Demetrius Lanes from the Wolves. Up front, forwards, Harry Kramer from the Wolves, Grayson Bennett from the Lumberjacks, and Ben Carfora from the Avalanche.
Good teams. And, of course, you're starting off Cam Wickens, one of our favorites. Wiki, it's hard to believe he's an 04 now, been with us here in the EHL for quite some time. But I think he really did save his best for last with this Lumberjacks team this year, seeing as many pucks as he did. Wiki, we're going to miss you. Lanes, another great defenseman up with the New England Wolves. And then Carfora was a guy that I think really kind of just appeared this year as an 05. 52 points, master distributor with 39 assists, 13 goals in 43 games. So, yeah, some great North Division first team picks there.
Yeah, Carfora is a stud, and if he doesn't get a commitment this year, he's going to go to a great spot next year. And just a quick story about him. One time, Trevor posted a video of one of his goals, and he wrote Ben Carfora, and autocorrect changed it to Ben Carrots. And he didn't notice. And like a couple hours later, we get a DM that just says, "Who is Ben Carrots?"
Oh my god!
That's the joke that we have now. Or anytime we see him, we're just like, "It's Ben Carrots right there."
I love it. That gets us to our North Division second team. Starting off once again in net, Brendan Nee from the Dukes, Sebastian Rogels on defense from the Avalanche, Leonardo Callhammer from the Lumberjacks. Forwards, Brendan Fields from the Wolves, Colden Lawrence from the Lumberjacks, and Austin Peterson from Valley.
Yeah, we covered Nee so much this year, and even in this last month where he got so many games and made so many saves, and any game that the Dukes got to win this season, it was usually off the back of some pretty great stuff from Brendan Nee in goal. Got to see him with the Northeast College Series games. But, Brendan Fields may be a guy that gets a little bit overlooked in that North Division. He is really good. He's an 05 All-Star, and he was really good against those teams as well, representing the main team. And yeah, Colden Lawrence, an addition at the October Showcase, and he was great then. So that's a good crew of players in the North. The North was a great division this year.
For sure.
Colden Lawrence, I actually I'm pretty sure I called that 4-point game, the 3 goals and assist at that October Showcase against Philadelphia Little Flyers.
There you go, Millie Rock. Yep.
Right. And I think I actually owe him an apology too. I think I called him Golden Lawrence, unless I look back at that line chart.
You probably
I did call him Golden.
He probably liked it.
Golden Colden. Yeah, he probably, there's another nickname added to the bunch.
Speaking of great names, Jeff, this is no pressure on this team, right? But
Oh,
if you got to say this name that I'm about
oh,
to lead off the East Division
here we
first team
go.
with in Providence, I mean, Jake would could attest. It'd probably be the best name we ever would hear over the PA mic. So leading off the East Division first team in net, Isaac Saljaugi. On defense, also from the Seahawks, Thomas Plamondon. And then on defense from the East Coast Wizards, Cooper St. Hilaire. Up front, Corey Cashel from the Seahawks, Ben Diaz from the Bandits, and Ville Bowden from the Express. This is a great unit, guys.
Unbelievable. I mean, just top to bottom. Plamondon. I loved your Canadian accent or French accent there, Neil.
Jake does it better than me. Jake does it way, way better than me.
Jake, let's hear it. Let's hear yours.
Thomas Plamondon.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good.
Love that, dude.
Yeah. Sorry, that one's better. But yeah, just you can't go wrong with any of these guys. And it's huge. Look at all the Seahawks on here. As far as we talked about our huge second half team. Really, really interested. We talked about Coach Richard and the Seahawks of the P, but Coach Xander, those Xana claps. How many Xana claps are we gonna see in the playoffs this year? It's gonna be a long one. I hope so.
And just got to mention Ben Diaz, 06. No big
06.
deal.
Yes, for sure.
Young.
For sure. That sends us to the East Division second team. Start off in net with another Express goaltender, Lucas Toth on defense from the Eagles, Brady Clark, and Christopher Mayberry from the Bandits. Up front forwards, Riley Van Son from the Eagles, Joey Alla from the Wizards, and Nate Brissett from the Express.
Yeah, about time you got some Long Island representation on.
I knew you were going there. I was like, Jake, take it away.
Yeah, a couple of Eagles on there. Clark and Van Son, teammates at Williston Northampton School as well. But Lucas Toth, he'll be in the mix for goaltender of the year next season for sure. And he gets East Division honors here alongside teammate Nate Brissett, game winner in the last game of the season to secure the league title for EHC. So good crew, East Division. Love that stuff.
What a snipe by Brissett. What a video by Trevor.
God,
what a goal. Like just watching that, woof, just right to the top corner. That was
TV
juicy.
videography does great stuff. Awful human being, like one of the worst, but just great.
I don't even know how many views that video has, but Nick Coda said that his wife Paige has watched it about 200 times. So
Wow.
just know that there's about 200 views from her of that goal, right? So,
That's amazing.
But just the way it picks the corner was so good. Two divisions left. So we go to the Central. Our first team in goal, Nick Hansen from the Capitals, Paulus Leonards Paigla from the Apple Corps, Alex Pagliari from the Capitals, forwards Mike Bianco from Rhode Island, Aiden Raddick from the Capitals, and Josh Petrini from Nor'easter.
Yeah, it's a really good crew of forwards right there. Probably, like you said, maybe like guys that flew under the radar when we were writing these. But Mike Bianco, a national goal scorer for the HCRI, rather, a year after they had another national goal scorer in Perry Goudreau. Aiden Raddick, what an addition he has been on that line with Kelly and Kroon. Petrini, a younger guy. Paigla, a younger guy. Pagliari, a really solid defenseman. And Jeff, we know Nick Hansen pretty well at this point. He's like family 3 years.
He is. Family indeed. Raddick's the one I think that just jumps out to me the most. Just being able to play in 29 games and have 50 points, 16 goals, 34 assists. We named him forward of the month for February and March with his 7 goals, 23 assists. That's hard to do, to come in late and just be able to gel like that and produce at that kind of level. So, yeah, really like what I've seen from Raddick.
Wrap up the Central Division with our second team. Starting off in net, Liam Lane from the Apple Corps. On defense, Rufus Gray from the Rough Riders and Kai Skilbeck from the Nor'easter. Up front, forwards Tyler Goebel from the Apple Corps, Matt McCormick from the Rough Riders, and Austin Haldane from HCRI.
Another unbelievable crew. Liam Lane, we've talked about how many pucks that kid's seen. I know things didn't go the way the Apple Corps wanted to this year, record-wise, but Liam Lane was just unbelievable. The amount of pucks he saw, record amount. So good for him for getting there on that second team. Rufus Gray, also really liked what I saw from him this year, difference-making defenseman. Tyler Goebel, another one too, right? He's been here for a minute, Jake. Another guy maybe feels kind of like family.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And he finished his junior's career with a hat trick in his last game. They'll head off to WestCon with goaltender on this central second team, Liam Lane.
Awesome.
Right.
we'll wrap this whole thing up with what they would call the best for last, right? The South Division and the first team. Cross Boss is our goalie in net. Cross Sherman from Philly Hockey Club. Defensive pairing, Tyler Brandis from the 87s and Casey Sturm from the Bears. Nick Vincent led the EHL in goals for Philly Hockey Club. He's up front with Owen House from the Bears and Landon Adams from the 87s.
How much do we just love Owen House on this podcast? Like, Owen House is just, he became a household name in the EHL this season. Landon Adams coming back as one of the top guys for the 87s. Branish, we know what he did at the college series. And yeah, Cross Boss, he's family too. It's been 3 years of Cross. And looking to exercise some playoff demons here for the boss.
For sure.
It's a guy I think that maybe goes a little bit under the radar with Legkoff being as good as he is. 109 points in 99 games, 3-year, 87 there. That's taken his game to the next level each year. 13 points in his first year in 25 games, 43 points in his second year in 41 games, and then 53 points. I know he had some injuries this year in 33 games, though, for Adams, and finished in the top 10, finished 9th in the league in points. So that's huge, and he's going to be a guy that, with Legkoff, going to need to go on a run here for the 87s.
And then we'll wrap it all up. Our South Division second team, Jeff. We wanted you to say this name on the podcast way back when, but you wouldn't do it. So maybe you'll get the chance to do it in Providence. We shall see.
Still wave my finger.
Yes. In goal, Florentine Pushkis from the 87s. On defense, Charles Antrilli from the Little Flyers. Theo Lutzi from the Huntsmen. Connor Valley from Philly Hockey Club up front. Massa Scotto DiCarlo from the Bears. And Damon Warren from the Huntsmen.
Connor Valley, one of the scariest picks I think I've ever seen in my entire EHL career. Just reeks of intimidation.
And shots. He's a hard shot as well.
That's a hard shot. He is disgusting. He is a very good player. But seriously, yeah, a really, really good team here. Can't go wrong with Flo Pushkis. The winning streak he had was unbelievable. And his interview. Thanks again, Flo, for joining us on the interview. It was great to have him on and learn a little bit more about him. And how about that name? Massa Scotto DiCarlo. One of the longer ones we've had in this league, along with Zach Ula DeHajimed, Neil. Remember that one from years ago?
I mean that's another name that would be great in Providence, Jeff. I mean, I would have to do, I'm not a PA.
Providence.
Clearly. I have to do like the syllable thing. To walk myself through it. You have your cadence, which works. So
I have interviewed all 5 of those guys on that South side. Pretty cool. And 3 of them at the most recent showcase in Antrilli Lunci and Scotto DiCarlo. And Scotto DiCarlo is another guy in the mix for Rookie of the Year. He had a heck of a year. He was not far behind Obe in points at all. And Antrilli is a guy that PLF's hoping to have back, hoping to put another letter on his jersey for next season. He'll be the captain. So yeah, all good things on that South second team.
So for those looking ahead to the 2026 annual award show, we'll have an all-interview team for Jake, probably first and second team too.
Yeah, I like that. Aaron Sawicki
definitely happen.
Aaron Sawicki would probably lead the way this year.
That was a good one. That was a really good one. But that does it for this week's podcast, which was our annual award show. Congratulations to all of the winners, and know that there's a lot of players that we couldn't name as well, because so many players in this league have had great years. There's been so many guys that have committed or are going to be committing very soon. Right in, call it the best month of the year, guys. We are in the postseason where there's just under 30 days to go between now and when we crown a champion in Providence. And it's a sprint to the finish, but it's the best finish possible. And I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you both for bearing with me. I know former broadcaster here probably said as many names on this podcast as I would have all year long as broadcaster. And if you count the editing too, oh boy.
Thank you, Justin. That is our executive producer behind the curtain. You cannot see. Thank you, Justin.
So like we always say though on every podcast, if you can't make it out to watch the games in person, I would be sure to tune in all postseason long on Full Hockey. The action's going to be great in both the EHL and the EHLP. And this podcast, we'll talk to everybody again next week with our second round preview.
Let's see, what's that?